Piedmont, Missouri, about 2 hours south of St. Louis, is known for its beautiful scenery.
Sam A. Baker State Park is a favorite place for a lot of people to come. Clearwater Lake, we have a big crowd of people come from the St. Louis area into Clearwater Lake. So this area was always an attraction for tourism. And before the UFOs came to the Piedmont area, it was a quiet town.
Yes, you heard that right. He said UFOs. That's Dennis Hovis, the former general manager for the KPWB radio station in Piedmont. He says UFO sightings in Wayne County began with a man named Reggie Bone.
He was a high school basketball coach, but he was well-liked, well-respected. Reggie did not believe in UFOs until the night of February the 21st, 1973, and that changed his mind.
Bone and his basketball team were returning from a game in another town when they saw it.
One of the boys had spotted a light in the sky, and they commented about that. And then, probably 15, 20 minutes later, they were in an area in the rural country we call Brushy Creek. And as they came through that area, they spotted the UFO, an object they classified as a UFO that was hovering with different colored lights, and they got out and they looked at it for a while.
Bone died in the late 70s, but Dennis Hovis interviewed him about the UFO sighting in 1973.
And the only thing that we could see was a rotation of lights. The lights were red and green and amber and white. And of course, being a little familiar with airplanes, I knew that although I didn't say anything at the time that this wasn't an airplane, that at least wasn't the markings of an aircraft of any type that I'd seen before.
Hovis says that Bone and the boys didn't initially report the incident, but their story spread within weeks. And as it turned out, they weren't the only ones who saw something. Over the next month, about 500 people would report seeing UFOs in the area. This included many respected members of the Piedmont community.
And there were probably many more than that. A lot of people didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to say what they saw.
Piedmont resident Karen Rubel says she saw something strange while walking back from her chicken house one night in 1973.
But all of a sudden there was just a beam of light come down from whatever was above us, and lit up the path so we could see all the way, to walk into the house. And like I said, we lived way out, no neighbors around or anything, just out in the middle of nowhere, kind of. I mean, it's frightening, the unknown like that.
By March, news about the UFO sightings reached across the nation, and reports continued into the summer.
I went outside and noticed just briefly noticed an unusual light.
Mike Henson, another Piedmont resident, says he saw something when he came home from college in the summer of 1973.
He said, hey, what's that funny light up there? And nobody knew what I was talking about, so we grabbed a pair of binoculars. We went out and took turns setting it on a fence post. And what we saw was pretty much what you'll hear about, the flying saucer sort of thing, a little light flashing, very playful, darted back and forth at a reasonable speed, and then finally just kind of took off in an unusual direction that would not be, I don't think, possible for any normal type of aircraft.
Hovis says the sightings were so frequent that they began causing traffic jams at night in certain areas.
But in 1973, everybody was looking for UFOs. They would be large crowds gathering on Brushy Creek. They would have the highway patrol there to direct traffic in a little rural countryside town.
Robin Thompson was 14 years old that summer.
Well, after the news of all these sightings came out, at least the kids in our neighborhood, we were out late every night looking at the sky and looking around because we wanted to see something too.
He says he and his friends saw a UFO above Clark Mountain.
And then all of a sudden there was red and white flashing lights really rapidly, like you'd see on a police car, not like you'd see on a normal plane. And it just lasted a few seconds, and then it was gone.
The large volume of sightings and media coverage soon attracted scientists to the area. A physics professor from Southeast Missouri State, Dr. Harley Rutledge, came to the area around May 1973.
And he set up a group, a scientific group, and they spent 7 years investigating the UFOs in this area.
And though Rutledge came in a skeptic, he left Piedmont as a believer. He claimed to have witnessed UFOs himself while there. He even published a book about his research in Wayne County in 1981. He and other scientists concluded that while many of the alleged UFOs could be explained as car or airplane lights or fires from the town dump, there were still some they considered to be legitimate. And though the initial sightings happened over 50 years ago, Piedmont is still in touch with its paranormal past. Their UFO capital of Missouri Park opened in May 2024. Their title as the UFO capital of Missouri was designated by Governor Mike Parson in July of 2023.
And that was brought about by our representative, Christine Dinkins, who introduced the bills at the state level.
Vicki Eaton is part of a group of small business leaders in Piedmont who are working to boost tourism to the town by promoting its history of UFO sightings.
We are who we are, and so we might as well embrace it and take advantage of that claim to fame.
The town hosted its first ever UFO festival in 2023. And after several other fundraising events, the group had enough money for sculptures in the UFO park.
We have a 16-foot UFO that was welded together by a local welder, which is even that much better. It was landed in town with a police escort.
And though no aliens were ever reported to be seen in the town, there is one in the park. In fact, you'll find statues and images of UFOs and aliens all over town. And according to some, you can still see UFOs in the sky around Piedmont too.
5 or 6 months ago, a gentleman and his wife were fishing on Clearwater Lake, and they witnessed a light hovering above their boat during the nighttime. And they became alarmed and they left the lake. But nothing happened to them, nothing bothered them, anything like that. So yes, there's still some sightings.
There's still no official explanation for many of the sightings. But Hovis says the easiest way to make up your mind is to come look for yourself.
As I tell people, if you will go out tonight on a clear night and you look into the heavens and you sit there and you watch, you'll see something strange a lot of times. I would suggest you go to Clearwater Lake and camp out and look in the sky. You might see something.
For Living St. Louis, I'm Veronica Mohesky.